Thank you, and it's an honor and pleasure to be here. I want to thank Bob. I don't know if I want to thank him, but he's the one that lined me up. I told him I was a little more nervous doing this than it is Memorial Day, giving that speech. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we're so close. And in Memorial Day, I'll be on the podium on the stage, talking up there. Before I go into this, I just want to remind everybody that we do have Memorial Day Parade. We're having a free breakfast at the Legion from 7 to 9. And at 6 o'clock, our honor guard, which I won't be able to make, they'll go to the different cemeteries, small cemeteries around town, and Seville and other towns, and fire, in remembrance of the soldiers that have fallen. And after the breakfast, we're going to line up out front, and we're going to parade down to the Woodlawn Cemetery, and I'll be talking again. So anyhow, I want to start off. I want to tell you something about the American Legion in itself. The American Legion was born at a caucus of the American Expeditionary Force in Paris, France, which they call AEF. This caucus was the result of a proposal by Lieutenant Colonel Theodore Roosevelt Jr. to a group of representatives of the AEF divisions and service units. Roosevelt's vision resulted in the founding of the Paris Caucus March 15th to the 19th, 1919. Yes, this started in Paris, okay? And subsequent organizational caucus held May 8th to the 10th, 1919 in St. Louis, Missouri. His unwavering service during these times won him the affectionate title, the Father of American Legion. Go back, as a commander, I am the commander, by the way, of the American Legion. And this is my last year. I will be stepping down June 30th after 10 years. You go through a lot of courses on what the American Legion is and how to serve the county, the people, and the veterans. These delegates brought with them the raw materials with which to build an association of veterans whose primary devotion was to God and country. Their number one thing was creation of a fraternity based upon the firm comradeship born of wartime service and dedication to fair and equitable treatment of all veterans, particularly the disabled and the widows and orphans whose loved ones paid the ultimate price for freedom. Number two, maintaining national security for America, including a universal military training program for the prevention of future world conflicts. 3. Promotion of patriotism and combating the materialistic and toleration ideologies that recognize neither the honor nor the dignity of the individual. On September 16, 1919, the Congress of the United States of America chartered the American Legion, thus giving official sanction to the Constitution adopted. The rapid pace with which the American Legion was building its organization was evident by its presence of many delegates still in uniform of the armed forces. The first national parade they have parades at the National Convention. And they do it at the state convention also. And they go through the town. Anyhow, the first National Convention parade at the Minneapolis Convention of 1919 was to set the pace for what was to become the epitome of patriotic pageantry, color, and music. Was on the first anniversary of Armistice Day, November 11th, 1919. Included in the line of march were 648 delegates, represented the infant organization's membership of 648,000 members. Today we have 2.5 million members of the American Legion. It's a heck of a voting force, and that's why the presidents of the United States usually listen to what the American Legion says. The Wadsworth, Ohio Post 170 was granted a charter October 3rd, 1919. It was granted to, you probably know some of these names, Fred F. Falk, Walter Rockwell, Edwin Transhew, Glenn Brenneman, John Turbigan, Harry Eidelbart, Willard Thomas, Claude Gable, Raleigh Richard, Kenneth C. Mills, Hermit C. Bell, Frank E. Farr, J. Roy Bender, Leslie V. Blow, Earl R. Morrison. That's who formed our American Legion here in Wadsworth. The first commander was Fred F. Falk. There was 72 commanders before me. I am the 73rd commander, and I have been commander for 10 years. Today we have about 400 regular members, those are veterans, about 260 auxiliary. Auxiliary is the wives, daughters, granddaughters of veterans. And about 210 sons of the American Legion, and those are the sons, grandsons of people that fought in the war. Since both the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars were chartered by Congress, both will only allow veterans who served during wartime. With the American Legion, you did not have to be in a war zone, but the VFW, you had to. That's the difference. A lot of people don't know the difference between the American Legion and the VFW. Today, we used to have our own honor guard, and so did the VFW. And a lot of them are getting old. And some years ago, they combined and made one honor guard. And that's why it's called the Wadsworth Honor Guard. It's a combination of the American Legion and the VFW. Am I right there, Pat? To give you some of the donations that we gave last year, just to give you a brief summary: American Cancer Society, Buckeye Youth Outdoors, Buckeye Boys State, Child Safety Medina County, Boy Scout Troop 412, Downtown Wadsworth Inc., Wadsworth Safety Summer Camp. That's where they go to the middle school, and the children go through two police officers are usually running that, and they do it at the middle school. Wadsworth Youth Baseball, Wadsworth Youth Football, Wadsworth Lacrosse, Wadsworth YMCA Baseball Team, Wadsworth City Schools, National Child Safety Council, Salvation Army, which I am a proud member of, Scholarship Foundation, the Overlook School WISE program, Medina County Veterans Memorial Fund, Meals on Wheels, St. Vincent de Paul, fireworks for the city. We always give money every year for fireworks. We're one of the top givers. Flags. All the flags you see flown in the city are donated by the American Legion. Shop with a Cop, which is really a good project. Wadsworth Community Radio, Medina County Sheriff's Department. We donated $5,000 for one of their drug dogs. And he was up at our meeting Monday night, and the sheriff and the dog, and the city wrote us a letter to donate for a dog for the city, and we turned around and gave him $5,000. You think that's a lot. The dogs cost $13,000. They get them from Czechoslovakia because they're trained over there. Wadsworth Alumni Association. That's just to name a few. I could go on and on and on, as Dr. Carino can attest to. We do donate. And before I close, I want to ask Roger to give me a letter, and we'll work on that $1,000 he wants.
It worked, Bob.
If you need to know something from 1948 on, Pat Brannigan, who's a past commander, is willing to talk to you. Or did you want to say a few words, Pat?
Joe usually takes several hours, so this is great. Did you give him an update on the boy with the leaky boot?
No.
Were you going to do that?
Oh, I forgot. I'll wait till Pat's done. I was going to tell him about the boy with the boot. Thanks to Roger, okay, we researched for the Civil War, okay, the people that died during the Civil War, killed in action. And in fact, I hate to say it, but I had the library research it for quite a while, and they couldn't come up with anything. Roger, this is about 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and Roger come up to me, what was it, about a month ago?
Yes.
With a list of the 9 people that died in action, were killed in, well, died in action, I guess you want to say, because a lot of them died from wounds that today they would never have died from, and the sanitary conditions that they had during the Civil War. After reading what Roger said, it almost brought tears to my eyes to see how those people fought in those days. Anyhow, we made 2 plaques. One, I don't know if you saw the trading post, with the people that were killed in action in the Civil War. We gave it to City Hall. I presented it to the mayor, and it should be up with the other ones that we donated. We also donated World War I. World War II was already there. We donated the Korean War and the Vietnam War, and now they have the Civil War. Also, I have a company making a plaque to go to with the boy with the boot. It's going to be put out there as soon as I get that made. It's taken them a long time to get those made, and those are pretty expensive. Okay?
Joe,
Yes.
you might tell them, if we don't know, that you also furnish grave markers for the cemetery.
Oh, yes. Coming up, that's another thing coming up. We announced that on the radio this morning. If you notice that you have a loved one that was in the service, whether it be wartime or not, we do supply free the grave markers, like World War II or just a veteran or whatever. We supply them at no cost, and we have the flag. We put out the flags, and if you see one that's missing, make sure you come over to us and see either Al Whitaker or myself, and we'll make sure you have one to put it out. Now, we have had people call us and say, hey, my brother or my father is out there and he needs a grave marker. Well, we have found that when we go out there, we can't find that grave. If you look at that cemetery, it's a big cemetery, and it's hard to find one individual in thousands and thousands of people. So come to our door, ring the bell, we'll come. We're open at noon, okay? And more than willing to give you the grave marker and a flag. Don't hesitate.
Speaking of flags, flag disposal.
Oh yeah, we take care of, if you have a tattered flag, bring it to us. We'll make sure it's taken care of the right way. Yes, ma'am.
What if you have a good flag? Can you donate it somewhere?
Well, we have our, you can find somebody to need. I buy, like I just ordered 50 flags because I know the city's going to be asking me for flags. And if you want to give it to us to donate to somebody, we can do that. A lot of times, the flag out here is provided by us, okay? The library. That's the type of stuff people don't know about, but we do, okay? Oh, the basketball. Tom was letting me know. We bought, we had the state champions for basketball here, and we bought all the basketballs that were signed by every player on that basketball team, and it was given to them as a memorial, so they have something to remember the state championship. And back a few years ago, when the wrestling won the state championship, they come up short on their rings. Well, who stepped in and bought them? We did. And it cost us a little bit of money to buy those rings. Anything else? Yes.
How do you raise all this money?
Well, we have pig roasts. We do a lot of different things. We have, most of our money comes from legalized gambling in our post. It's pull tabs, okay? And that's where most of our money that we donate are thousands and thousands of dollars. And we're checked every year by the Attorney General. They send a person down to check us and go over all our books. And that's why if I donate something like Roger wants $1,000, I want a letter saying that what he wants it for, and then what I have to do is have that receipt. So when the Attorney General comes in, I can show him where that $1,000 went to. So everything is all legalized. I mean, we don't, and I wouldn't allow anything but that.
They also buy the third grade Wadsworth history books that all the kids get free every year, all third graders.
We used to buy the 5th grade ones too.
Yeah, and then they changed the curriculum on us and eliminated some of that. But anyway, that's a chunk of money, and it's a souvenir for the kids from the American Legion because they get to keep the book.
That is us giving to the community. That's what we were founded for. And that's why we're over there.
You may want to advertise what you have coming up in June.
Oh, we have a free concert. We have not the Wounded Warrior Project, but we have a Wounded Warrior coming into town from Texas. We're in conjunction with the American Blind Golf. I'm a big supporter of the American Blind Golf and the Wounded Warriors. And the American Blind Golf every year brings, for their golf thing here in Wadsworth, they bring Wounded Warriors usually from the Wounded Warrior Project. Well, one of the wounded warriors that we had brought into town, his brother has his own band, and his name is Spencer Elliott. He's out of Texas. He was wounded in Iraq. His brother, Stetson Elliott, was also wounded. He was blinded in one eye, and his hip was blown off. And they were here. In fact, they were the parade marshals for the Blue Tip one year, because Sergeant Shy, he's another wounded warrior that comes to the town. He was here, and both of those guys were the parade marshals for the Blue Tip. Anyhow, we have a free concert on the square, blocking off the square, and it's free to anybody, and he's going to be performing. We're flying him in. Actually, the American Blind Golf's flying him in, and they're going to have from 7 to 9 on June 20th for anybody that would like to attend that concert. It's going to be a little bit of country, and what else does he?
He's got, in fact, they just sent me some songs this evening for their promo. It's more country, but a little bit more country rock type of music.
Yeah.
It's mainly country.
And we do have, not only do we have the regular Legion members, the auxiliary, and the Sons of the American Legion, we also now have, within the last 2 years, called the Legion Riders. They have their motorcycles. We have about 35 members of the Legion Riders, and they're going to escort these guys from the hotel down to the square. Okay? When we have dignitaries or anything come in town, you'll see the motorcycles coming into town. Okay? And it's really truly a good thing. And this Sergeant Shy, to give you an example of some of these guys, he had his leg blown off, or they had to put it back on, and he went in. Now he suffered a lot of he took a lot of drugs. He was really bad on drugs. His brother, one of the reasons why he went in was because his brother was in Iraq, and a sniper shot him in the head, and he is a paraplegic right now. He has to get around on like a bicycle. We're trying to get him into town for one of the parades or something like that. As right now we can't. His mom had to quit her job just to watch it going through. I mean, you think of these kids, and these are kids, what they're going through right now in Afghanistan and Iraq. In fact, that brings up, I'm sorry, Pat, but brings up, this year is the 50th anniversary for the Vietnam conflict, okay? And of course, Medina County is celebrating, well, not celebrating it, but observing it. And they had, on the 30th, they had pictures and everything else up in Brunswick. And June 23rd, they're bringing the wall, the traveling wall, to Medina High School. And then August 6th, if you want to put that on your calendar, we're having welcome home and passing of the torch for the Vietnam veterans. We're sponsoring it. I got involved in it, and it's close and dear to my heart. A lot of people I know were over there during Vietnam, and they can tell you it wasn't a very good situation. Anyhow, we're trying to get Afghanistan veterans to shake the hands of the Vietnam veterans and say, welcome home. We'll take the torch from here. Thank you.
Oh. It's bitter. This is a bittersweet time to learn that Joe is going to retire and leave us without someone like a leader that you've been for the last 10 years.
I'll be there.
Okay, all right.
I'll still be an officer there, but not commander.
Well, he's done enormous things. Those lists he gave you were just the beginning of some of the things that he sponsors and sees the way through and helps the city and the community. It's just phenomenal. The last 10 years have been like a rejuvenation of how it was in 1948 when I came to town with Frank Hilliard and Bill Simister and that group.
Thank you.
But good luck.
Thank you.
Wadsworth Post 170 American Legion was the place to be seen, to be active in New York in 1948 when we came to town. And that brings up another point. While we've been here all those years, we're somewhat considered newcomers to the old timers in town.
We're gonna mic you up.
All right.
Don't worry about it, everybody's watching.
We had, Joan and I, when we came to town, had the great pleasure of meeting a person like Frank Hilliard, Bill Simister, Harry Coughlin, all legionnaires and very active and very imbued with the very spirit of Wadsworth American Legion. They were respected gentlemen, executives in various parts of the city. We were fortunate that Frank Hilliard took us under his wing, insisted that I join the American Legion at that point, and become part of an active part of the community. Such names as Frank Hilliard, Bill Simister, W.R. Smoke Thomas, Postmaster, Carl Krieger, Paul White, Brown Schrader, Bill Dagg, Bill Gross, Dick Geisinger, Dick Dibble, Bob Fail, Fred Allen, Glenn Branneman, Bill Reimer, Earl Gottwald, Woody Powers, Tom Seifert, Chuck Ferguson, Sterling Sequist, Harry Coughlin, Walt Clark, Joe Sterling, Don Leatherman, Buzz Abrams, Dick Curtis, Bob Gerstenslager, Frenchie Clements, Bob Miley, and Carl Schantz. All memorable gentlemen who were avowed members and longtime supporters of the American Legion. As Joe pointed out, the auxiliary is a very important part of the American Legion. They do great things for various parts of the community and the members of the Legion, including a very memorable, for many, many years, Christmas party for the kids. I know our kids were just waiting for that time to get in line and get up there and get some sort of a big gift. Back then in 1948, we formed what was called the Carnival. And its gist was to raise money for the American Legion. We raffled off a new Buick every year. The city was kind enough to shut off the street down here at the light, all the way down to Mill Street. And we brought in booths and people of various sorts of endeavor and created a great atmosphere, and it was like coming home time for people from out of town. Members of the auxiliary, Dolly Sterling, Joan Brannigan, Nancy Gerbrick, Lois Gerbrick, Ethel Geisinger, Mrs. Schrader, Mrs. Simister, Mrs. Coughlin. Great folks. The carnival went on for many years, and about 1960 or so was replaced by the Blue Tip Festival. Dick Pethel, a friend of ours, was the one to name it Blue Tip Festival in recognition of the Howe Match Company. The event that's called the Tom and Jerry Party every year before Christmas on a Saturday It's just another memorable occasion for gathering people around town of note and celebrating the community itself. It was hosted by Bob Sondel Sr. and later by Bob Sondel Jr. You remember them? The national commander came to Wadsworth about 1965 or 70, and our American Legion post here formed a delegation of about 25 people to go down and be with him at that time at luncheon. Great time with the national commander. Joe Deutschel, the state Ohio American Legion adjutant, was a great friend of the Wadsworth Post 170. If we had needed something from the state or something special for any event, he could see that we could get it. Around 1953, the Ohio Box Board went on strike, and pickets were everywhere. It was quite a confrontation for various functions in areas of the city. Wayne Young, who owned a good part of the Ohio Box Board, called the Legion and asked if we could set up headquarters in our building down here and operate a national and international office procedure for strategic personnel. We granted him that, and they brought in a dozen new desks and dozens of phones and made the American Legion Post the headquarters for the Ohio Box Board for a period of time. I just wanted to share with you the fact that when John and I came to town, as I pointed out earlier, Frank Hilliard and Bill Simister came to me and said, if you really want to be a town of a growing community, join the American Legion, which he twisted my arm and we did. I've been a member since 1948. John was a past president of the auxiliary. I enjoyed all those activities that were supporting it. And thank you for listening.
Questions for Pat?
Okay. Thank you, Roger.
And what got you into the American Legion? Did you serve in the war?
Oh, yeah. I made the first day invasion of the Philippines and the first day invasion of Okinawa on Easter Sunday, April 1st, 1945. One of the greatest memories I have occurred October 2nd, 1945. After the war was over, I was asked to lead a delegation to go down to Machinado, about 10 miles south of Naha, the capital of Okinawa. And with 10, every day I had 10 English, Japanese-speaking individuals who volunteered to go into the hillside and try to lure the evaders, the hidden army that was left, and any native that couldn't get back, couldn't free himself up to come out. We did that for 7 days. We sent in 10 people each night. No one came back. We think that the natives and the evaders and the rest of them murdered those people. In contrast to that, those same people, rather than give up and surrender to us, went down to the hillside cliffs in Naha and Surrey and jumped off and committed suicide. And we gave up on that mission. But October was another great month because one of the most violent typhoons came along and wiped out everything we had. Took everything, blew it away. I was able to secure a two-man trailer and tied it to a tree behind a stone wall and stayed there 3 days until the wind subsided. Our first day invasion of the Philippines was at Lady Gulf Dulag, just down the beach from where MacArthur went in. One of the odd things about that is he did it 6 times to get it right photographically.
Oh, really?
other thing I failed to announce is it was mentioned in the minutes about the apothecary that was once belonged to Ritzman's and it was donated to us. When they donated it to us, it was fairly new. Now, since we had it refinished, it's become an antique. It took us, about 3 years to get it done? So Fran Weedeye has been diligent on that in getting that apothecary, and I've been so tired of listening to it, but now she sent me an email and said, now I have to go get it. So hopefully the apothecary will be on display for the Medina County History Day coming up. And again, thanks to the speakers, and I'm sure, Pat, you're going to be hit up before you get out because Bob DeLong's sitting by the door back there, because he didn't mention that he was one of the big wigs at the Wadsworth Brickyard. So maybe we can hear the history that you can share of it, since it is now getting totally obliterated from the map. If you've been out there recently down Mount Eaton Road, you'll see that the old office is gone, the house, and so progress. Again, before you leave, fill your pockets, your billfolds, your purses with some of this food back here, because what I understand, it's delicious. Tom Stugmeyer's been chewing on it for the past half hour, and Joe's now trying to protect what he wants to take home. But again, have a safe trip. Yeah, Bob?
Kate just told me she's going to take the whole container of peanut butter cookies.
I'll take care of that for you.
Okay, make sure you really hit the peanut butter cookies then. Kate doesn't need it. Okay, thanks for coming out tonight, and have a great summer. I'll keep you informed through email, at least, if you get our email, on these activities coming up. Joe didn't mention the pig roast is on August 5th. It's the day before the 6th that they're having that Vietnam and Afghanistan passing of the torch. So again, have a great evening.